from the Cobblestone was written by a local author who uses elements of St. Charles in her new mystery novel. I'd like to welcome Susan E. Sagarra. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you for having me.
So you're a St. Louis author, and you've written a book that's not really about St. Louis.
No.
But you've got some St. Louis elements.
It's, it kind of starts, I used to work at the St. Charles Journal when I first started my career on Main Street in St. Charles, and I really kind of fell in love with the charm of Main Street, St. Charles, Cobblestones. And then a little bit later, I started dancing with some girlfriends of mine at a dance studio out in St. Charles. And we'd go to a pub out there, kind of got to know the owner. And I used both the St. Charles Journal building and the it used to be Rumple's Pub. I used those as my kind of two main settings. And I also went to Lindenwood out in St. Charles. And I used just the entranceway and kind of the gazebo and kind of some of the buildings at Lindenwood as a setting, but I don't use anything else really about Lindenwood. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, I started with the settings of the two buildings and the characters and the charm of them, and then kind of develop some characters out of that to create a novel.
Unless you know the place, you don't name them. So
no, I have different names for them. Yeah. I use Muggs Pub, and I use, my mystery spans 80 years, and there's some ghost element to it that's kind of, Main Street St. Charles has some ghost activity.
Real ghost.
Yeah.
Did you ever experience the ghost?
Well, I worked late in the St. Charles Journal building several times, and we kind of thought there might have been ghosts or some kind of activity going on. But there's been other weird things that have happened in my life. Both my parents have died, so there's been sort of some elements of paranormal activity that, I just kind of added.
So and you're obviously attracted to that kind of element, let's say mystery, because you incorporated that into the novel.
Yes, and I'm actually an avid reader too of kind of ghost stories and mysteries and things like that. So I decided, why not write a book of something that I would like to read.
As you were writing this book, and it is a mystery, did the mystery unveil itself as you went, or did you have the plot sequence already planned ahead of time?
I had a little bit of the plot started from when I first started writing. I started writing on April 12th because I quit my job right before that. So I started the book on April 12th. But then I didn't know I didn't have all my characters developed. I kind of knew how it was going to end, and I ended up changing that 3 or 4 times while I was writing it. And the person who gets killed, that they have to solve the mystery, is not the person I originally intended to have killed. So,
really?
Yeah, I changed it. My character kind of spoke to me a little bit along the way, and I decided to change things a little bit.
So we've had authors here at STL Live, they often say exactly what you're saying, that the story changes as they go. And they get caught up in their story as almost an observer. Did you feel that happened to you?
Absolutely, and especially with my detective character, Harrison Parker. He was supposed to be a very small character, and that was how I originally plotted him. He ended up being one of my main characters, and actually my favorite character. And he was kind of one of those characters that he just sort of, I know it's cliche to say it, but he just sort of wrote himself in the book. He just became like this, great person that I wanted. And then the other two, my two main characters, there's a lady who owns a school for young ladies, and then there's a reporter, and the two of them have to come together to solve the mystery of what happened, help the detective solve what happened. So, I did kind of become like engrossed in the story that I was writing, but I was kind of reading it while I was writing it,
Yeah, and has it been interesting that now people are out, the book is out, it's published, people are reading it, to hear people's response to the book and to the characters?
Yes, and actually it's been out since March, and it seems to appeal mostly to women. I'm not sure why that is, and I've had very positive reaction to it. A lot of people have really enjoyed reading it, and they are like in suspense until the very end. And
right. Well, we talked about one person who started it one evening and couldn't finish it until she finished the whole thing before she went to bed. Took her all night. So
and her husband was not real happy with me then.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about cracks in the cobblestone. Stay with us at STL Live. We'll have much more with Susan Sagarra after this break.